Hey, what's up? Welcome to Free Advice Friday. Looking forward to spending some time with you guys today. It's been a minute since I was live on YouTube. I guess I haven't been on probably since the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas. That was fun. Hopefully you were able to join in the fun and festivities of the 12 voiceover gifts of Christmas and $24,000 in prizes that were given away. But yeah, it's been since then. But here we are back and ready to go again with another exciting edition of Free Advice Friday. And I want to address something off of the top because just before I signed on to do Free Advice Friday, I was doing some of my own marketing, working on some leads on LinkedIn. And this week has really been the first week that I've gotten onto LinkedIn this year. And I have to say, I was a little disappointed to discover that LinkedIn is now restricting the number of personal notes that you can send with connection requests. And I mean, at the end of the day, it's all in the name of capitalism and keeping shareholders happy. And I understand that. But the part that I think is actually pretty funny about it is for many, many years, LinkedIn has strongly encouraged people to attach personal notes to their connection requests because connection requests that are sent with a personal note have a higher probability of being accepted. And if you send a lot of connection requests on LinkedIn and those connection requests get rejected, that can actually work against you. So the idea was sending connection requests with personal notes, trying to spark a conversation that would encourage the person to accept the connection request. And if they do, then that's good for you. And so because LinkedIn has been encouraging this behavior for a number of years now, and because it is a best practice as far as I'm concerned, why not send that little personal note? It stands to reason that would be one of the things that they would now take away from us in order to try and force our hand to upgrade to a premium LinkedIn. And I got cut off I got 10. I think I was allowed to send 10 personal notes with my connection requests. And then they said, no more personal connections. Now, I can still send connection requests. I just can't add the personal note, which is incredibly disappointing. And so it's something I'm going to play around with. I actually just sent 10 new connection requests just before I signed on to do the live stream today. And I did not attach the personal note to them because I couldn't. But I'll see. Hopefully, as people start to accept those connection requests, I can reach out to them then and start a conversation. And so if you weren't aware, that's something that I would encourage you to do as well. So if you are sending those connection requests and you are not including the personal note because you can't include the personal note, then what do you do? How do you work around that? Well, the easiest way to then ultimately work around that, here, let me pull this up. We're going to go to my LinkedIn here. And when you go to click on My Network when you're on LinkedIn. And if you go to Connections, you'll be able to see all of your connections, right? But the people that are at the top of the list, these people here are the people that you have most recently connected with. So just check in on that every once in a while to see whether or not the connection requests that you are sending are getting accepted. So for example, Charlie is somebody that I sent a connection request to a few minutes ago. Charlie's already accepted my connection request. And so now, after this live stream is done, I will go in and I will send a note to Charlie because once you are connected, you now have the ability to send them an inbox through LinkedIn. So not the ideal situation, but still a little bit of a workaround for it. And so there you go. That hopefully just made it worth it for you to come out to Free Advice Friday for a few minutes. In the first 4 minutes there, giving you a pro tip. That's my workaround for now. And like I said, I just discovered this, so I haven't had a whole lot of time to put into it, coming up with a solution, but that's what I'm going to be doing for now anyway. So hopefully that's helpful to you so that you don't just stop sending those connection requests, but use the tools that LinkedIn has made available to you and work the system as best as you can. They're making a stronger case for having to upgrade to premium LinkedIn. And I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to upgrading to premium LinkedIn, but dang, the amount of money that they charge for their subscriptions. Like everybody else is charging like, $6 a month, $10 a month or whatever. Premium LinkedIn, I mean, I don't know what it is specifically in the States. Obviously, I'm in Canada. But some of them are like $70 a month or $75 a month. And that's a pretty hefty subscription. So you would have to be very, 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 very deeply committed to using LinkedIn on a regular basis to justify that. But anyway, hopefully that's helpful. So there, I wanted to touch on that right off the top, sharing something that I've discovered on LinkedIn. And I can see that a few of you are also commenting on the fact that that has happened and a little bit disappointed with that as well. Hey, welcome, Dan. Thank you. And Happy New Year to you as well. So that's what's going on with LinkedIn, at least for the moment. The other thing I will say, by the way, check out the new episode of the podcast, the latest episode of the podcast, 2024 Social Media Trends. That's available right here on the YouTube channel, and it is available at VOpreneur.com, and it is available wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. In that episode of the podcast, which dropped yesterday, I talk about something else that is going on with LinkedIn that's actually a positive, and that is that LinkedIn is starting to move back a little bit more to a professional network. So those of you that have been on LinkedIn for a while, using it for a number of years, you probably noticed over the last couple of years a little bit of a shift that started happening on LinkedIn. A lot more personal stuff started coming up on the platform. My feed was filling up with a lot of personal stuff that I was like, why? Why is this here? Why are we trying so hard to turn LinkedIn into Facebook? I don't want to turn LinkedIn into Facebook. LinkedIn is recognizing that, and they're listening to the feedback from people who are saying we don't want LinkedIn to become Facebook. And so the algorithm is actually now prioritizing professional content over personal content. So I think that's actually a good thing. And that's something that I dive into a little bit deeper in the latest episode of the podcast. So again, check that one out. It's here. It's on the YouTube channel. And it is also available wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. I would just like to point out that there are, 29 of you watching right now, but only 3 thumbs up. Give me the thumbs up. Would you give me the thumbs up? Pretty please. Pretty please. Give me the thumbs up. Mike Garcia said, I tried it. It's not worth paying that price every month. Yeah, I think the trick with LinkedIn, if you're going to pay for premium LinkedIn, is you've got to be a dedicated user. You've got to have a strategy for consistent connection requests. You've got to have a strategy for consistent in-mailing. You've got to be willing to actually work on LinkedIn every single day, give it an hour of your day every single day. And there are voice actors that justify that because they do use it to that degree, and the payoff has actually come. If you're a casual user of LinkedIn, if you can't commit to doing it every single day, that makes a little bit of a difference, and then maybe it is a little bit harder to justify the expense. TJ says, note, characters dropped for me from 300 to 200 as well, which is a bit short. Yes, that is also something that I noticed. So now, not only can you only send, for me anyway, this month, 10 personal notes, but 200 characters, which it causes you to be, on one hand, I guess it keeps you focused, keeps you from getting too long-winded. On the other hand, it's really hard to write a personal note and actually make it sound personal when you've only got 200 characters. So that is definitely a little bit of the challenge with LinkedIn now. So definitely something that I'm going to be paying a little bit closer attention to. Montague Voiceovers, Grillmaster, any marketing trends that intrigued or concerned you at any point in 2023 to be mindful of in 2024? Well, Reed, that's actually a really great question. And I actually covered that on last week's podcast. So check that one out. This was from last Thursday. It is available on the YouTube channel, and it is also available at VOpreneur.com, and it is available wherever fine podcasts are given away for free. So last week's episode was 5 marketing trends that I'm keeping an eye on in 2024, plus a bonus. This week's episode is 5 social media trends that I'm keeping an eye on in 2024, plus a bonus. So check those episodes out. TJ says, I bite on the free 1-month premium, work even harder there for a month, then cancel. And that I've been thinking about that. I've been thinking, they keep giving me the thing constantly now. I'm constantly getting, sign up for a free month, sign up for a free month. I'm like, maybe I just need to come up with a solid plan for a really great marketing strategy, sign up for the free month, work the crap out of that marketing strategy, whatever the strategy is that I come up with, and see what I can get out of it in the time that I have available. And it might actually be worth it. So again, welcome to Free Advice Friday, guys. You are welcome to post a question. If you have a question that you would like to ask, type it into the comments. If you could do me a favor, put a Q beside your comment. It just helps it to pop out on the screen for me as scrolling through. It makes it a little bit easier to find those questions. But I am certainly here, happy and ready to answer any marketing questions that you may have for Free Advice Friday. So don't be afraid to ask a question. Denise says, what do you say in a follow-up email, and how many times do you reach out? All right, Denise, this is an interesting question, and I think there are a couple of different scenarios that warrant a couple of different follow-up strategies. So first and foremost, when I'm sending an introductory marketing email to a new lead, so reaching out to somebody I've never made a connection with in the past, if I do not get a response from them, I am going to follow up with them a week later. And that will just be a quick, simple follow-up just to try to bring the email back up to the top of their inbox. Have you had a chance to listen to my demos or something like that? If I don't get a response to that 1 week follow-up, and it's somebody that I really, really want to try to get connected with, then I will send another follow-up a week after that. On the flip side of that, if we're talking follow-up strategy, once I have somebody in my database who is a prospect, so I classify a prospect as somebody who has expressed an interest in working with me, I'm going to keep up with them probably on a monthly basis. And I would say the same thing for clients. So anybody that I have worked with in the past, I want to keep up with them on a monthly basis as well. And I think there's a lot of different things that you can do as far as follow-up strategy is concerned at that point. But I'd say the most important thing is just remember, if you're landing in their inbox, make sure that you have a reason to be there and that you are adding value. I think that's really important. That's one of the things that I teach in VoiceOver Marketing Playbook. Guys, if you weren't aware, quick plug, VoiceOver Marketing Playbook is available now through the 17th of January. This is my flagship marketing program. Step-by-step, easy-to-follow video class. It's about 8 hours of content, all the things that you need to know for how to market your voiceover business. And follow-up strategy is part of what I teach in that class. So if you are interested in finding out a little bit more about Playbook, you can head over to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. Lots of testimonials from people who have taken the class in the past. There's a complete breakdown of the 3 different packages and everything that is included. So check that out at voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. That is definitely one of the ways that we can work on getting a follow-up strategy for you. Tracy says, I'm a dedicated LinkedIn user, and out of desperation to keep up with the profile visits, I've signed up for the free trial period, and I'm networking the crap out of this time. It's not a bad idea. I mean, if they're going to give you a free month anyway, then you might as well take advantage of it. And here's what I would be willing to bet as a marketer. Chances are when you finish that 30-day trial, on the other end of that is probably some sort of really great deal to try to get you to sign up for a year. My guess is that they're going to offer you a percentage off if you sign up for premium LinkedIn for a year. And so if you're thinking about doing LinkedIn, it might be worth it. Now, I can't promise that's what's going to happen, but that tends to be the way these things work, right? You sign up for a trial period with somebody for something, and when that trial period is over, then they're like, hey, we'd really love to have you as a subscriber. And if you're willing to try us out, we'll give you 20% off or 30% off if you sign up for your first year or something like that. So might be worth a shot, but you got nothing to lose, certainly, by doing the 30-day free trial. All right, let's see. Where are we going? David Carmichael says, I'm a 30-year vet trying to lose that announcer sound. You and me both, David. Coaching advice abounds and is expensive. I need an affordable, good coach that leads to a demo and good marketing structure. There are a lot of really good coaches that are out there that can help you with the conversational read, David. In all seriousness, there are. I can tell you from personal experience that one of the best coaches that I worked with on that front was Ann Ganguza. Personally worked with Ann on the conversational side. What I will say, and it's easy for me to say, but what I will say is coaching is not cheap, and I understand that. A lot of these coaches now, the good, reputable coaches are charging $175 an hour, $200 an hour, $225 an hour. Some of them are even charging $250 an hour. I understand that it's a big investment, but I would also say that if you spent $500 or $600 with one of these coaches doing a couple of sessions, and that was the thing that got you over the announcer voice and got you to start booking, then that is coaching that is going to pay for itself very quickly. And I can say that as a former radio guy who still struggles with the announcer read every once in a while, who has spent the money on coaches, who has worked with coaches, who has got over that side of things to a degree, has developed a more conversational read, and it has absolutely led to more bookings. So it's one of those things where, from speaking as a business owner, as a CEO of your company, it's not just looking at the cost, it's looking at the investment with the return on investment potential. And I think working with the right coach that can help you to get over the announcer read is an investment that will produce a return. And so something that I would say, and again, based on my own personal experience. Are we seeing production companies sending out more auditions than agencies? I think it depends on the roster, but I definitely see some of the production companies that I am aligned with. I definitely see more auditions from them than I see from some of my agents. And I think that that's a shift that's been going on for a couple of years now, where it's the elimination of the middleman, right? If the production company can work directly with me and we can eliminate steps in between agents, casting directors, advertising agencies, whatever the case may be, every step that gets eliminated in the process makes the process go smoother, makes the process go easier. And it's a budget thing as well, right? Every hand that touches a project needs to get paid. And so the fewer hands that touch the project, the fewer hands that have to get paid, the lower the budget becomes. And that doesn't mean lower budget for voice actors. It just means that now when you're spending the money on the voice actor's getting the money, you're not breaking up the budget, taking a cut from everybody to get money into the hands of each hands that touched it. Does that make sense? So yes, I would say I am seeing that to a degree with certain production companies for sure. Mike says, I am finally shifting into VO full-time. It's a bit frustrating when I don't have a consistent clientele. Would you say it's time now to double down more than ever on marketing or auditions? Yes, I would. There is nothing more butt puckering than moving into full-time voiceover and not having a consistent income. Do you know how I can tell you that? Because that's exactly what happened to me. When I lost my last radio job, when I got downsized in 2011, I had no money in the bank. I had a little bit of voiceover income and a whole lot of bills that had to get paid. And I have never been so motivated in my life as I was in that first year or two to do the marketing. That experience is the reason why I am here doing Free Advice Friday today, teaching marketing. That experience is the reason why Voiceover Marketing Playbook exists, because I literally had no choice. It was go get a job at McDonald's or figure out how to make voiceover work. Like, those were my options at that point. And so I marketed the crap out of my business horribly in the beginning, making every mistake humanly possible, but learning as I went, incrementally getting better, slightly better emails, slightly better social media strategy, slightly better targeting, slightly better lead generation, right? Incremental improvements along the way. And then I took all the information that I learned, compiled it, put it into a course to teach other voice actors how to do it. But yeah, now is the time to double down on your marketing. And that's not just because you're looking to shift full-time into voiceover. That goes for every single voice actor. Why wouldn't you double down on your marketing if your intention is to grow your business and earn more money? Then you absolutely need to double down on your marketing. We all should be doubling down on our marketing. The opportunities are still out there. And I can say that as somebody who goes out and is getting them. The opportunities are still out there. Dan says, just started the playbook today. Really looking forward to it. Excited to have the opportunity to work with you, Dan. And thank you so much for signing up. And I really do hope that it is going to be the thing that triggers some stuff for you. Oh, like that. Or, oh, yes, contact that person. Or, oh, say it this way, or whatever. I'm sure that it is going to be the thing that is going to help you to level up your marketing game. So that's awesome. All right. Again, if you'd like to ask a question, it is Free Advice Friday. If you could do me a favor, put a Q beside your question when you are typing it into the comments. It just makes it a little bit easier for me to see it when it pops up on the screen. But I'm certainly here and willing to answer as many of your questions as I can. All right, let's see. Used LinkedIn Premium when I worked in tech recruiting. Makes a lot more sense when a company is paying for each recruiter in their stable to have a paid LinkedIn seat. For a solopreneur, not sure it makes sense. Yeah, I really do think it's a case-by-case basis. I know of voice actors who are using premium LinkedIn and are doing really, really well with it. But I also know it's because it's one of their primary marketing streams. So maybe they're not doing some of the other social media platforms, or maybe they're not focused as much on email marketing or cold calling or networking because they're focused so much on LinkedIn. And so I think a lot of it does have to do with how you are ultimately going to use the platform to determine whether or not it justifies the cost that you've got to spend to use it. But that's why, again, taking the 30-day test drive that they're offering, determining whether or not it's a good fit for you and your particular circumstance, might be something worth thinking about. Certainly something you got nothing to lose by signing up for a free trial, right? All right, Reed says, when you have a prospect reply to your email saying they use AI for their VO, I'm split between ignoring, since they're spending bottom dollar, and teaching them the benefits of choosing human. Thoughts? Yeah, you know what? Anytime that I get a negative response from a client or a prospect that isn't like an angry negative response, although some of those I respond to as well, I have no problem replying back to them, presenting my perspective. I think the trick is in how you do it. If you respond back angry, are you freaking kidding me? You're using AI? Oh, well, congratulations on, racing to the bottom. Oh, good for you and using the lowest common denominator. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's great. You're using AI in your videos. That's why they sound so bad. And you're laughing, but look, there are voice actors that respond that way. Don't do that. Instead, why not highlight 3 or 4 benefits of working with the human that they will not find from working with an AI? It's hard to compete with AI on price, but we can compete with AI on quality. We can compete with AI in our service. We can compete with AI in our storytelling. We can compete with AI in our acting, right? So there are a lot of things that a human brings to the table that the AI doesn't. Some of these companies are experimenting with it because it's the shiny new object. There is a percentage of you, there's 40 people watching right now. There is a percentage of you that signed up for ChatGPT when ChatGPT came out because it was new and you wanted to play with it and you wanted to see what it was all about. The same thing is going on the production side. There's a percentage of people who are trying AI to see what it's all about. I can tell you from my experience that there is a percentage of people who are trying AI who are realizing this was a bad idea. I have done narration in the last couple of months. I've worked on projects for companies who tried AI and then came and said, no, it's not there, or it's not what we want, or our client didn't like it, or whatever. I would not have got those opportunities if I had burned the bridge up front. So I would say respond wisely, respectfully, and don't burn the bridge, because some of these companies, yes, they're going to keep using AI. Their videos are going to be crap. They don't care. They're paying nothing anyway, so it doesn't matter. But some of them are going to recognize that it is not as good, and some of them are going to come back and start using humans again. And those are the ones that you want to make sure that you don't burn the bridges with. All right, let's see. Are talent agencies still the main way to get commercial work? No, I don't think so. Actually, the bulk of my commercial work in 2023 came from production companies that I work with directly. Now, do I get commercial auditions from my agents? Of course, I get commercial auditions from my agents. Most of those commercial auditions that I'm seeing from my agents are large national or large regional. And so there's a much higher competition level. Chances are those commercials are going out to multiple agents. Some of them are going out to agents across the country, right? You think online casting is a cattle call? You should see how many auditions get submitted for some of these national commercials. But local and smaller regional, even some bigger regional stuff, Some of that stuff happens directly through the production companies. They're not going to agents. And those are opportunities that you can go out and you can get on your own if you're willing to do the marketing. Anita says, one of the channels I'm heavily marketing to this year is the political VO arena. Any unique aspect of this space that I should be aware of as I market to them? I would highly encourage everybody that is thinking about doing political to go back and listen to and or watch the interview that I did with Aya. I'm just trying to find it right now. With Aya from Celia Siegel Management. Here it is right here. How to cash in on $10 billion in political ad spend with Aya Mariyama. This episode I recorded, I want to say we did it in September maybe. So this is available at VOpreneur.com. Let me just put the link in the chat here. The interview is also available on the YouTube channel, and the interview is available on wherever you enjoy podcasts. Aya does talk about strategies for going out and finding political work. It's one of the questions that I asked her, and she did give me some answers. And so I would definitely encourage you check out this interview. Let me just put this one here too. I'm going to link straight to the YouTube video. So check that one out if you're interested in the political space. There's definitely some helpful information in there. All right, let's see. Where are we going? Mandy says, do you use any email scraper services to find leads and their contact info? I have used hunter.io in the past. I have used Rocket Reach in the past. Still, I shouldn't say past. I still use Rocket Reach and I still use Hunter. And Apollo. Apollo.io is another popular service, and that is one that I have used with success as well. So yeah, there's a few different places where you can go. I would say sometimes they're not always accurate, so keep that in mind. Sometimes you will not find the email address for the specific person that you are looking for. However, I don't necessarily need to find the email for the specific individual. I just need to determine what the email format is that the company is using. If I can figure out the email format that the company is using, then I can put my best guess together of what that individual's email address would be and take a shot on that. And so those are some of the tools that I'm using and have definitely used with success in the past. Denise says, if a contact email is not listed on a website, how do you find the correct email to contact? Call, what do you say to the person who answers the phone? Okay, well, Denise, that ties in perfectly with what I just talked about. So one of the things that you could do if you can't find a contact email on a website, use a service like Apollo, Hunter, Rocket Reach, etc. And you might be able to find an email address that way. One other thing that I would like to point out, if you go to a company website, and there's only one email address listed on the website, and it's hello at, contact at, info at, whatever. If that is the only form of communication that they have on their website, somebody is checking that email. So if you write a good enough message, you can still get a response. I have booked clients off of emails sent through the web form. I have booked clients off of emails sent through the generic inbox. So don't just assume that it's not worth it, or don't just throw away that lead if that is the only thing that you can find. I still think that it is absolutely worth trying to reach out. Now, the other part of your question was, is it worth a phone call? Absolutely. I think it is worth the phone call. If you're into cold calling, you could certainly call a company and just say, hey, I'm a voice actor who's interested in partnering or collaborating with your company. And I was curious if you would be able to give me the name of the individual who would be responsible for hiring voice actors. I'd love to be able to have a conversation with them. You got nothing to lose by making that phone call. Nothing to lose at all. All right, let's see. Where are we going? Mike says, what would you say is the best strategy to do when it comes to email marketing, i.e. Mondays for explainer companies, Tuesdays for e-learning companies? What's worked for you personally? Okay, Mike, I don't know that... There's a couple different ways that I'm going to answer that. First and foremost, I do the bulk of my email marketing on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. That is based partly on research and partly on my own personal experience and following my own data. Generally speaking, I have found Mondays tend to get a lower response rate. You've got people coming back into the office from the weekend, so they're getting caught up on whatever happened over the weekend, but they're also planning out for the rest of the week. And so I have just found that I tend to get a little bit lower response rate on Mondays. That being said, if I have to send emails on Monday, I will send them Monday afternoon as opposed to Monday morning. Fridays, it's the opposite. Everybody's trying to wrap up their week and they're heading into the weekend, and a lot of them have already mentally checked out, probably. So if I have to send an email on a Friday, I will generally send the emails Friday morning as opposed to Friday afternoon. So, ideal world, you do your email marketing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Do the bulk of it. I'm not saying do not email on Monday and Friday. I'm saying I try to do the bulk of mine on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. If you are going to do email marketing on a Monday or on a Friday, Monday afternoon, I think, is better than Monday morning. Friday morning, I think, is better than Friday afternoon. The second part of your question, one day for Explainer, one day for e-learning, whatever. I have found, strictly for myself, so this is not necessarily data-based like research, deep dive research into genres and marketing to specific genres. For me and my own focus, I find it easier to focus on one genre at a time. So that could look like explainers on Tuesday, e-learnings on Wednesday, corporates on Thursday. Or it could look like this week, I just want to focus on e-learning. And maybe next week, I'm just going to focus on corporate. So I do find for myself and my own focus that it's easier to do one genre at a time. All right, let's see. Where are we going? Again, if you've got a question, don't be shy. Feel free to type that question into the comments. Put a Q beside it so that it stands out a little bit better on my screen. I'm scrolling through the chat here. There's a lot of comments in the chat, so I'm doing my best to keep up. We got 44 watching the live stream, and I still only got 29 thumbs up. Come on, guys, give me the thumbs up if you're enjoying the live stream. If I've answered your question, if you're getting some good information, hit that thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for me as well. If you're new to a P2P site, do you recommend taking an audition class, JMC Success in Online Casting course, for example, beforehand? I definitely think that there are advantages to that. I would say that is particularly true with Voice 123. Voice 123 does not work like traditional casting sites. Voice 123 is an algorithm-driven site. Voice 123 has done everything humanly possible to make the site as complicated as humanly possible. And they've done a very effective job at making the site as complicated as humanly possible, unnecessarily complicated. I'm going to put a link in the chat here, V123 Pros course. I am a huge fan of Catherine and Natasha, the V123 Pros. I highly recommend taking their course. My whole thing is, if you're going to go on Voice 123, you're going to spend the money to go on Voice 123. And by the way, if you are starting out on Voice 123, please do not start out at the $600 level or the $800 level or the $1,000 level. Start out at the whatever it is, $395 or whatever. Start out at that level. But if you're going to spend $400 on the casting site for the year, spending an extra $150 or whatever it is for Catherine and Natasha's course, to me, it's absolutely worth it. Because if you go on Voice 123 and you don't know what you're doing and you start using the site the wrong way, you're dinked, okay? Straight up, you're dinked. Once you get yourself into the basement, and you can get yourself into the basement very quickly on that site, and by the basement, I mean in the lower percentiles of talent. Once you get into the lower percentiles for talent, it's really hard to get out. So how do you avoid getting into the basement in the first place? By understanding exactly how to use the site. That's where I think Catherine and Natasha's course comes in, because it teaches you exactly how to use the site, exactly how to understand the algorithm so that you can avoid making the mistakes that are going to put you in the basement. Now, on the flip side of that is voices.com. I have a hard time recommending voices.com. I break out in hives every time I say VDC. Sometimes I don't even want to say VDC. The difference with that platform is you can go on today, sign up for a membership, start submitting auditions immediately, submit as many stinking auditions as you want, and it doesn't matter. You will not be punished. You will not be throttled. You will not be held back in any capacity. I think like that's the way a casting site should work. Obviously, Voice123 feels differently about it. So, to come back to your question, Iris, is it worth taking a class? I think it is worth taking a class for certain sites so that you understand how they work. And I would say Voice123 in particular, it is absolutely worth taking the class. I put the link in the chat there. TJ says, I've caught a few of the entrepreneurial books you've mentioned reading. Any new books you are reading and recommend? Yeah, Kate Neeland, voice actor from the UK, who I love. I call her Her Royal Highness, Her Majesty. It's a British thing, I guess. HRH Kate. She sent me a book for Christmas called The Diary of a CEO. I am loving it. I have stayed up the last 3 nights until 2 o'clock in the morning reading that book. I am loving it. The chapters are short. It's very well written, very clearly written, very easily digestible, very practical. So many great tips. And so I would say that that is one that I could absolutely recommend. Hang on a second. I will put a link in the chat. Let me just pull it up here. The Diary of a CEO. There it is. Great book. So that's the newest one that I'm reading right now and absolutely loving it. Sorry, clicked the wrong button. Don't mind me. Just trying to pull up a link here. There we go. Okay. Putting that in the chat right now. Very, very great read. And apparently the author, Stephen Bartlett, also has a podcast. And so I haven't checked that one out yet, but that's certainly going to be going onto my podcast list as well because I am loving the book. So if the podcast is as good as the book, then it is going to be absolutely worth it. Mike says you can pay the highest or the lowest on Voice123, but if you don't have enough likes, you're screwed. And that's exactly it. There's a misconception that if you throw more money at Voice123, it gets you access to more opportunities, and that is wrong. If you are in the lower percentiles and you are not getting the likes on your auditions, you could throw all the money in the world at it, and it's not going to help. So you have to understand how the site works. All right. I am just looking through the chat to see, am I missing anything? If I have missed your question, don't be afraid to retype it. The thing I'm struggling with right now is how to write a B2B email to market. It's tough to find the words to convince Kim, the restaurant owner, that using voiceover for advertising is viable for her. Help them understand. So it depends on who you're marketing to. Let me start by saying that. So let's just say in the example you gave, you're reaching out to small business owners, okay? So maybe you're reaching out to small business owners in the local community and you want to be able to do voiceover for them. If you come to that small business owner and talk to them about doing voiceover, they probably are going to have a hard time understanding how they could use you because some of them probably are not familiar with voiceover at all. So you don't want to specifically sell them voiceover services. You want to help them understand where the voiceover services can come into play. So I would be talking to Kim, the restaurant owner, about how you could make improvements to her on-hold messaging, and that you could record messages for her on-hold system that would tell people on hold about the current specials or, certain deals that they have or packages that they offer. You could talk to her about social media videos and, are you creating social media videos for Facebook or for Instagram? Are you working on TikTok Reels or something like that? Have you ever thought about adding a professional narrator to those videos? And so part of your job in that case would be not just specifically demonstrating voiceover, but demonstrating the ways that they might be able to use that voiceover. So it could be in the form of a video. It could be in the form of a commercial. It could be in the form of an on-hold system or something like that. So helping them see that side of things might be the way that you open the door to the conversation, if that makes sense. All right, let's see. Scrolling through the chat here again. Lots of stuff in the chat about Voice 123. A lot of people with mixed feelings about Voice 123. I will say this. If you are a really good voice actor, okay, you've got a really great home studio. And when I say a really great home studio, I mean somebody other than you has told you your home studio is great. Uncle Roy, George Whittam, Tim Tippett, Jordan Reynolds, Dan Leonard, Dan Friedman. You've had a professional listen to your studio and listen to your sound and say, you're on point. You've worked with great coaches. You can deliver the reads. You have stellar, killer demos. You've produced them with Ann or JMC or Roy or Dave Walsh, whoever. So you've got all of the pieces of the puzzle put together. And you understand how the site works. And you're strategic in your auditions. And you can get the likes. There are a lot of voice actors that are making a lot of money on online casting still. And there are opportunities to make money on online casting. However, if you are missing any of those components, then it is going to be harder for you to succeed. And the number one component that most voice actors are missing is actually their sound. I interviewed the CEO of Voice 123, the CEO of Bidalgo, the CEO of Cast Voices. Who else did I talk to? The CEO of Voquent. So I interviewed a lot of online casting CEOs, all independent interviews. And the one thing that every single one of them said was that 80% of the auditions that get submitted on the online casting platforms sound like crap. That is the reason why. So 80%. That means that the vast majority of you that are on this live stream right now are submitting bad audio and may not even realize it. The other big reason why online casting site CEOs said people have problems booking is because they're not following the specs. They're not paying attention to the directions. They're not reading the brief all the way through. Those are two things that are so easily fixable. And so a certain percentage of voice actors will blame the casting site. Oh, Voice 123 sucks. Nobody makes money on Voice 123. I was on there and I was in the bottom percent. Blah, 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 blah. Well, the question you have to ask yourself is there anything that you can do to improve that? Maybe it's improving your auditions. Maybe it's improving your sound. Maybe it's cleaning up your editing process. There are things that are in your control. So don't just assume that if you are in a lower percent tier on Voice 123, that it's Voice 123's fault. They do make the system complicated. Yes, I think it is overly complicated. Yes, but if you know what you're doing and you're good at it, I still think that you can make money, and I think that is proven in the voice actors who are out there and who are doing it on a regular basis. All right, let's see. Where else are we going? Greg says, once a LinkedIn connection accepts your request, what do you say in the follow-up message or messages without sounding spammy? Look for something better than thanks for the connection. Have a great weekend. My personal approach is to scroll through their profile very quickly and look for something that I can use to start a conversation. Not a conversation about voiceover necessarily. I just want to start a conversation. And I think everybody's favorite subject to talk about is themselves. So if I can find something interesting from their profile that I can use to try to spark a conversation, get them talking a little bit, get them warmed up a little bit, then I can steer it towards asking a question about voiceover at some point. So that's one of the things that I am doing. Great point here from Mandy. One tip I picked up from Natasha, the V123 pros in your profile, ask them to like your audition even if you aren't selected. I have it as a PS at the end. See, that's the other thing. You may be submitting killer auditions, but you may be submitting them for clients who just don't do the like system. That's one of the flaws with the system. Our fate as voice actors is dependent upon the voice buyers taking a very specific action. And there's really no incentive for the voice buyer to take that specific action, which is why a lot of them don't do it. And So even if you're doing everything right, you can still end up getting punished in the end because your success is reliant on somebody else taking a very specific action on the platform that there's no incentive for them to take. That's one of the reasons why I think it's flawed. But it's a very valid point from Mandy. And again, that's a reason why it is worth taking the V123 Pros course, because you're going to pick up on some of those tips. We're at 44 viewers and 43 likes. Who is the last holdout? I'm going to find you. No, I'm just kidding. All right, let's see. Where are we going? By the way, if you do have a question, feel free to type that question into the comments. Put a Q beside it. I'm very happy to answer that question for you if I can. I'm doing my best to work through all of these, and I do apologize if I have missed anything. Andy says, I worked in radio too, and I'm inclined to do the top 40 high energy approach more often than not. But aren't there instances that require that sort of approach, such as imaging and events? Yeah, I think there are certain areas where you can still get away with that read. But much to my sadness, because I would much rather take that approach as well, Andy, just to be clear, it is getting fewer and further between. Are there still some areas in automotive where you can do that? Yep. Are there still some areas in imaging? Yep. Are there still some opportunities in promo? Potentially. So, I mean, there are still things that are out there. Every once in a while, you still get to do the monster truck read. But again, those are becoming fewer and further between. And that's why it's so important to have that conversational tool in your toolbox. Of course, the challenge then with conversational is if you ask 100 producers to define conversational, my guess is you are going to get 100 different answers because it's completely subjective. So then that's part of the challenge as well. All right, let's see. Andy says, is it really necessary to accept the low-paying jobs early on just for feedback and a track record? No, it's not. Can you? That's your choice. Is it necessary? No. There's a perception, and I'm not really sure where it comes from, but there is a perception, this whole idea of paying your dues. Right? I got to take a whole bunch of really low-paying, crappy jobs so that I can work my way up to the good-paying jobs. And I'm not a big fan of that perception because, to me, paying your dues is what you've done by paying for good coaching, paying for good demos, investing in your training, taking some classes, investing in your studio, and getting the best possible audio that you can deliver. If you do all of those things, to me, that is paying your dues. And if you are a professional voice actor, whether you've got one booking under your belt or 1,000 bookings under your belt, if you have trained to be a professional voice actor, then you should be able to audition with the rest of us. That's my opinion. I know everybody doesn't share that opinion. Now, that being said, if I have to pay my mortgage and there is no money in the bank, do I accept a lower rate than I might normally accept? Maybe, right? You got to do you at the end of the day. Just know a couple of things. First and foremost, it is easier to negotiate down than up. So if you start the quote too low, you're not going to get more out of them, or it's highly improbable that you would get more out of them. So there's that. Wherever you accept the rate for the first booking is going to set the benchmark for where the rate will be on the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the 20th booking. So if you accept a lowball rate from a client to get that first job, I don't care how many times they say, we're going to pay you more on the next one, they're probably not going to pay you more on the next one. You've set a precedent. So you have to be very cautious of that, right? I mean, that just ties into it's easier to negotiate down than up. So keep that in mind as well. And the final thing I would say is every minute that you spend working on low-paying jobs is a minute that you do not have available in your day to go and find a client who is paying fair market value. So that's something else to think about as well. Mike says, what side hustles would you recommend that can relate to voiceover aside from coaching consulting? Maybe content creating, motivational speaking, selling digital products, etc. I know a lot of voice actors that are working as virtual assistants for VA for VO. So if you are starting your business in voiceover, but maybe you don't have a steady income yet, but you want to still be tied to the voiceover industry, working for another voice actor might be an option, right? Helping them with their marketing, helping them with their social media, helping them with their editing, different things like that. It's an opportunity for you to learn, maybe get a little bit of mentorship along the way, also earn a little bit of money on the side. And so VA for VO is certainly something that you might want to check out. I think editing, right? There's definitely an opportunity out there for voice actors who are proficient in editing. And that could be editing for other voice actors. It could be editing for podcasts. So there's certainly opportunities out there for that. Proofing for audiobooks would be an area that's still voiceover adjacent. So yeah, I definitely think there's some different things that you can do as a voice actor that are still close to the industry to make a little bit of money on the side while you're trying to build your business up. Is it advisable to parcel out the editing? Oh, perfect question. When doing audiobooks and simply focus on the creative side. I think a lot of that depends on you as the voice actor, your skill set, your expertise. I think budget becomes a factor as well. If I never had to edit another long-form narration ever again, I would be a happy camper. I would so much rather just be in the booth recording. Because here's the other thing. Let's talk about scale. I've only got so many hours a day that are available to me. And so with those hours that are available to me, those are the only hours that I have to earn an income. So if I spend 2 hours in the booth working on a really big e-learning project, 2 hours recording time, and it takes me another 2 hours to edit that project, that's 4 hours out of my day for one project, right? Now, on the flip side of that, if I spend 2 hours in the booth recording a project and then send the editing to somebody else, I just got back 2 extra hours that I could be spending in the booth working on a different project. That's scale. So when the opportunity presents itself from a financial standpoint, obviously, you mentioned the creative side. That makes sense. But I think the financial side is also a factor, right? And that's part of thinking like a business owner. That's part of operating like a CEO. Edwin says, what about marketing outside of pay-to-play sites? Does your playbook go over this, like templates, emails to reach out to in-house casting corporations? That is what Playbook teaches. I talk about online casting in a very small percentage of one module in Playbook, but the whole point of the course is to teach you how to self-market. It is to teach you the strategies and tactics for direct marketing. So I'm going to teach you how to find your own leads, who to look for, where to look, how to find them. So we're going to walk through that. Then we walk through the email side of things. What do I write in an email? What does my follow-up strategy look like? What goes into a good email? What shouldn't be in an email? And then I dive into specific strategies for social media as well. So there's modules that are dedicated to TikTok, to Instagram, to YouTube, to Facebook, to LinkedIn. So a bunch of the different social media platforms. So that is absolutely a big part of what I am teaching in the playbook. That's the whole point, right? I encourage every voice actor to be a self-marketer. I think online casting can be a tool in your toolbox. It should not be the tool in your toolbox, like the only tool in your toolbox. Mark says, I worked with JMC on my commercial demo back in 2021. What is the typical lifespan of a demo? Do I need to start thinking about a new one? Okay, so I think there's a couple of factors that go into this. First and foremost, how do you feel about your demo? One of the number one things that holds voice actors back from marketing is they're not proud of their demo. And they might not be proud of it because they're not happy with the production. They might not be happy with it because of their performance. They might not be happy with it because it's old. They might not be happy with it because of there's dated information or dated spots on it. So those are all things to consider. So I would say, first and foremost, are you a better voice actor now than you were in 2021? That's a factor, because if you are a better voice actor now than you were in 2021, that could be a case for making a new demo. Now, hopefully we're all improving, but there comes a point where your improvement starts to be smaller increments, shall we say, right? Your first demo is always going to be your worst demo. Your second demo and your third demo are going to be infinitely better than your first demo. But your fifth demo might only be a little bit better from your fourth demo, because you're still improving, but there's only so far you can go, right? So I would say, have you improved? dramatically. That would be something that I would think about. Is your demo in alignment with the trends that are booking in 2024? So a really great example of this, I kind of feel bad for anybody that made a demo in 2020, because in 2020, it was a very, very specific read that was booking. And there were a lot of that particular type of read that was going into demos because that's what was booking. But then by the end of 21, that had changed. And so those demos became dated very quickly, which is, unfortunate. Now, people who had the right demo in 2020 were making bank. I know a lot of voice actors who their best year in voiceover ever was 2020. So I would say, does your demo fit? Is it in alignment with the trends that are booking today? Is a big part of it, right? Is it hitting the right notes? And does it show the right range? I think those are things that factor. Talk to a demo producer, and demo producers are always going to try to sell you a new demo. Maybe not, but mostly they're always going to want to try to sell you a new demo. But I would be looking at those types of things. Where are you at? Have you improved significantly enough that your reads are way better, or you're way better? Are there any dated spots, right? So if you've got a spot on your demo that specifically talks about COVID or talks about the pandemic, it might be time for that spot to come off, right? And that might be the other option too. Maybe you don't need an entirely new demo. Maybe you just need to update one or two of the spots on your demo. So that might be an option as well. So hopefully those are some things that help you to consider and make your decision. Denise says, Nimble seems difficult. Do you recommend any other CRMs? Denise, fair point. When I first signed up for Nimble, I said, holy crap, more than once. Here's what I would tell you. I have test driven a number of different CRMs, and every single one of the CRMs that I have test driven has come with a relatively steep learning curve if you are not familiar with CRM. So I don't think it matters which one you sign up for. You are going to have to learn how to use it. It's an entirely new type of software for a lot of us. I was one of those people. I had never even heard of CRM before, let alone used one. And so there absolutely was a learning curve that I had to go through in order to be able to get proficient with Nimble. I would say, if you are thinking about Nimble, and give me another opportunity here to do a shameless self-promotion, but if you go to VOpreneur.com/store, right here, I have a course called How I Use Nimble, and it is a step-by-step walkthrough of how I set up Nimble and how I use it. That might be something that would help you if you're thinking about it. But the reality is most of the CRMs are going to come with the learning curve, so you're going to have to figure it out no matter what. I would say once you figure it out, you will have that moment. And this is not just for Nimble. This is for any CRM that you try. Once you figure it out, you are going to have that moment where it all makes sense and you're like, praise Jesus, why didn't I use this 5 years ago? Right? Like I had that moment. Once you get on to how it works. And the reality is Nimble feels very overwhelming. Any CRM feels very overwhelming. But when you figure out the aspects of it that you need to use and the aspects of it that are going to be an advantage to your business that you can leverage to the advantage of your business, it's not as complicated as it probably feels up front. It's just that daunting feeling of coming into something completely brand new. It's kind of like building IKEA furniture, right? I just had to build a bed for my middleest daughter last weekend, and I friggin' hate building IKEA furniture. And I stare at the instructions and I just think, who made these stupid instructions, and how is anybody supposed to follow these stupid instructions to build a bed? Once you get into it and the bed is built, you're like, wow, this is amazing. But it's going through the initial process that makes you question your life choices. That's kind of how I felt about CRM in the beginning. That's how most people feel about CRM in the beginning. But once you figure out how to use it, absolutely, it is worth it, and you will see that. All right, guys, I got to jump out because I've got some stuff I've got to do this afternoon. But thank you so much for coming and hanging out for Free Advice Friday again. Please remember, if you are interested in Voiceover Marketing Playbook, you can go to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. voiceovermarketingplaybook.com, and you can check out the class, find out all about it. You can also go onto the VOpreneur website. There's 3 different versions of Playbook: Playbook Complete, which is the video course, 2 hours of private coaching, and 4 additional master classes. It's about a $350 savings to bundle Playbook Complete together. Playbook Plus is the video course plus an hour of coaching. Playbook Basic, the video course only. Once you sign up, you'll always have access. You will get access to all of the updates as well. It is a learn at your leisure course. You can watch at your own pace. It's not like we got to sit down and do group lessons or anything like that. So if you are looking to level up your marketing game, VoiceOver Marketing Playbook is the thing that can help you do that. I typed in the wrong URL, voiceovermarketingplaybook.com. You can read all about the course, read all the testimonials and everything if you go to voiceovermarketingplaybook.com, and it is available for purchase until January the 17th. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. As always, whatever you decide to do this weekend, have fun, stay safe, and go find some leads.